Alright, what's up, guys? I hope your 2022 has been going alright. I haven't uploaded in a while, but mine's been going pretty good. So, college football is about to start back up, so I thought perfect time after a hiatus. Last video was about college football. Time to come back, hop on here, and give you guys my misinformed thoughts. And so for this video, we're going to talk about my thoughts on Notre Dame and Ohio State. Got some people I know who are big Notre Dame fans out there. Hope they watch the video. Got a custy up in Indiana who's a big Notre Dame fan, and so with all this going on, I just thought, you know what, time to throw my 2 cents in on it. Let's get right into it. Can't wait to get 20 views on this.
To Oregon, the defending champs seeking to become the first team.
Ignore this bozo down here. They just threw him in because they wanted to avoid copyright, so it's pretty distracting, but ignore that bozo.
To have almost everything in the world at stake, and then the matchup under the lights will be spectacular in Columbus. A top 5 matchup between Notre Dame and Ohio State. Marcus Freeman, who played for the Buckeyes, will start his first full season as the coach of the Irish, and when college football is the topic, Heather and Paul are always on the docket, guys. Thank you for getting up with us.
Great. We have Heather, who nobody knows who that is, never heard of him. And then, of course, we have the infamous Paul Feinbaum. Should be a good one.
Here, as always. So, Heather, I'll start with you. As we look at these huge opening weekend matchups, which of these teams can least possibly afford to lose this opener?
Notre Dame 100%, and that's because in the selection committee meeting room, any team that does not win its conference championship, and Notre Dame doesn't have one, has to face a higher burden of proof. So if no,
and I think that's fair. You know, sorry to the Notre Dame fans out there. I think that's fair. She's spot on.
Notre Dame loses, even if they run the table and they finish as a one-loss team, that means on selection day that they have to be better than, unequivocally better than, any other one-loss Power 5 champion. I mean, think about that. One loss, Bama, one loss, whatever it is, Ohio State, which would have the head-to-head win against them. That is a really tough bar to face, and ESPN's FPI projects that Notre Dame will win each of its remaining games except for Clemson. So if that's the case, then
I think that's kind of a hot take. I can see it happening, only losing to Ohio State and Clemson the whole season. But Marcus Freeman being the head coach for the first time ever, and being, you know, the head coach for this team, he's unexperienced with. I mean, I know he has experience he's, you know, coached in other roles for Notre Dame, but being a head coach is a lot different. And so with his inexperience going into the season, to say that they are unequivocally going to win every game except for Clemson and Ohio State, I think it could happen, but I also think there's a good chance that won't happen. So, bit of a hot take from, I already forgot her name.
they are bye-bye, but they've got to win this one.
So, Paul, you were here yesterday, and you were telling us you think Notre Dame is overranked at number 5 in the AP preseason rankings. So let's dive into that. Do you believe the Irish take a step forward or a step backward this year?
Paul, I'm going to let you finish, but before he goes in, just remember Paul Feinbaum's one of the biggest Notre Dame haters of all time, so maybe take what he has to say with a grain of salt. But also, he is a very knowledgeable college football analyst, so he actually might know what he's talking about. It's hard to tell when he's hating and when he actually just, actually knows.
I think they step back a little bit, Greeny, and it's not anything in particular because I think Marcus Freeman is off to a really great start. He is recruiting at an epic level. The problem is he's never been a head coach before, and I know Notre Dame fans think they got rid of a bum.
Talk to him, Paul. That's what I'm saying.
In Brian Kelly. He was only the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. Think about that for a second. He was a phenomenal coach, but Brian Kelly didn't think he could recruit at a high enough level at Notre Dame to win it all. He could get to the playoff, and then he would always lose. Marcus Freeman is recruiting.
And honestly, so far, Paul is speaking facts. Brian Kelly would either get to the playoffs or get pretty close, and then, but he never really won the whole thing. So, facts so far.
well enough, but we don't know whether he is Brian Kelly. I don't think he is right now. He looked terrible in the bowl game when they blew a big lead, and he's probably, well, forget probably, he is definitely going to lose his opener against Ohio State. And Notre Dame fans can scream and holler, but they're all wrong. They let a really great coach go to LSU and Brian Kelly, and now it's a matter of whether Marcus Freeman can step up.
Well, look, I mean, Paul, at least in the projection of this, is right. Ohio State is a 14.5-point favorite in that game. So, Heather, I guess I would ask the question, are we comparing Ohio State to Notre Dame, or dare I say, is Ohio State actually on equal footing with Alabama?
Right this skinny minute.
Where did Alabama come into this conversation?
You better believe they are. I mean, when you're talking about the talent on those two teams, 100%.
Honestly, screw Alabama. Why are they ranked number one? They're always ranked number one. They didn't win it all last year. This is shit.
That's why I have Ohio State number one in my preseason.
Hell yeah.
You're talking big picture, coaching, playoff appearances, dynasty, national titles.
Ohio State should have been one. Alabama, two.
Yes, it's Alabama, right? Ohio State hasn't gotten there yet under Ryan Day. But when
Yes, they have.
these two teams meet, and I'm going to say that they will in the college football playoff, then we're going to see just how close they are. But you're talking about talent. These two
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see then. That's when we'll see.
quarterbacks, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. You're talking about defensively. I think they have the talent. They match up. I hope that we see these two teams play and they settle it on the field.
So Ohio State number one and Alabama number two. Paul, I don't
Maybe they ought to settle it off the field.
know how that would fly with the callers on your talk show this afternoon, but is she right?
Yeah, she is, and I hate to admit that because I mean Heather's the brainiac of this duo, and she really spit out some really good facts right there. And I almost want to believe her and agree with her, but I can't. By contract, I can't say anybody but Alabama. You know the deal, Greeny. But assuming Alabama gets there, and I think they will, this is going to be a different game than 2 years ago in the COVID year when Alabama won that game by 28 points.
Quickly, Paul, let me ask you about a different SEC team, and that is the defending champions, Georgia. We see they will open with Oregon. Is the world sleeping on them this year? They sent, it felt like, half their roster to the pros in the NFL draft.
I'm not going to lie. Oregon, you're about to get stomped by Georgia week one. I'm a big Washington State fan, and I think we only lost by like 13, and Washington State was pretty bad. I don't know. I don't know that Oregon should have ever been ranked as high as they were, but they beat who they beat, so they got ranked how they got ranked. But yeah, I wouldn't expect as good of a season as they had last year. They're gonna have a rough week one. So yeah.
Is the world sleeping on the Bulldogs this year?
And that's the problem, Greeny. Yeah, they're sleeping a little bit because the defense is just not going to be the same. Now, what a ridiculous statement that is, considering what we watched and what you broadcast in Vegas a couple of months ago. The offense is going to be better. Stetson Bennett is back. He was the walk-on who became the Disney movie piece last year by leading them to a national championship. But the defense is going to take a step backwards. And also, the defensive coordinator from last year, Dan Lanning, he'll be coaching for Oregon in that opener.
All right, Heather and Paul always. Stephen A. Smith had some fast.
All right, and then these bozos go on to talk about the NFL. We're not going to talk about that. Anyways, closing thoughts. I think Notre Dame, it's going to be an interesting season. You got Marcus Freeman leading the way, coaching against his former team he played for in college. He's stoned to the bone in this picture, but I support it. But it looks like he's transitioned into a very nice man drinking Starbucks. He's a great member of society, and we'll see how he does. I don't think he'll be a bad coach, but I just think he's not. This is his first head coaching gig, and so to say that they're just gonna come out and lose 2 games the whole season, I don't know. I think the coach plays a pretty big role in how well the team does overall throughout the season. And if you have somebody up here who isn't quite comfortable in this role and doesn't quite know what he's doing, and I'm not saying he doesn't, he might come out and be a great head coach, but I don't know. I think we'll just have to see. I think it's really way too early for to say Marcus Freeman's a great head coach, considering he hasn't coached a game yet as a head coach. And Yeah, really, I don't know. I think it's a little hot take to say they're only going to lose to Ohio State and Clemson, but they might, I might be wrong. But I just think, CFP, college football playoffs, may not be in the cards for Notre Dame this year. Maybe, but maybe so. But yeah, that's all I got. I'll see y'all in another 6 months. Take care till then. Peace.